in the Filipino community, there is just a really strong stigma. It's bad to have dark skin. Dark skin is, considered ugly. It's considered dirty. And it's so strong. And you could see it, when you go to the Philippines, the people that are famous, actresses and models, they're usually, half white. First of all, they're very, very pale. Very pale. And
right. Not even like natural white, right? Just like white.
literally. And, you come to find out they're like mixed, or like they just spent like a year in the Philippines and they could speak Tagalog. And so now they get to be famous because they're white passing. And it's really sad. And it's something that spreads for sure across the diaspora. So even in the US, it's colorism is an issue definitely in Hollywood at large, but this idea amongst Filipinos it still really holds even when people move outside of the Philippines. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm the youngest of three girls. I'm of mixed background, and my mother is darker skinned, and bless her soul, she actually loves being dark skinned. So she's kind of a rare exception, and I really love her for that. But I struggled with it because my two elder sisters, they look like my father, and so they have very light skin, and they're kind of the ideal. And then me, I look like my mother, so I have her dark skin. And people might even look at me and they're like, "You're not even that dark." But in the Filipino community, I'm considered super dark. And I really struggled with self-esteem growing up. People teasing me. People saying, like, your skin color is dirty. And a lot of it from fellow Filipinos, funny enough, but, or I guess not so funny enough. And so, yeah, I really wanted to touch upon this issue. And this is something that's not just, prevalent in the Filipino community. I think amongst many communities of color, it's an aspect of it's a legacy of colonialism, of worshiping whiteness. And so I'm really happy I got to do it.
Right. So we can kind of trace this issue, at least in the Philippines, directly to the Spanish colonial era, I'm assuming, right?
I think so.
Because I've seen this thing like kind of play out in other Southeast Asian country too. Like I used to live in Malaysia for a little while just for work. And, that is obviously like a super mixed country when it comes to ethnicity, also religion. But because of the British colonial rule that they have experienced in the past, they did have this kind of white worship in a way as well, in terms of like who's pretty and who's not.
Yeah, I mean, white supremacy is everywhere, and it's just all along the spectrum.